All right, welcome back. This is Investor Edge, simplifying smarter investing for everyone. Today we're going to go over recent market volatility, especially in the tech sector, with the information coming out of China about DeepSeek, new AI tech. I opened up an article from Yahoo Finance. This was released today. DeepSeek was last week launched a free AI assistant that it says uses less data and fraction of the cost from incumbent services. By Monday, it had overtaken U.S. rival ChatGPT in downloads from Apple's App Store, triggering global sell-off in tech shares. Now, I'm going to go over, and here we have the semiconductor ETF, just to kind of see it overall. This is a weekly chart. I want to talk about just like many people know, tech sector is still very strong. This is a heavy portion of tech sector in the semiconductors, like Nvidia and all the ones that we know about, AMD. But overall, there is still broad strength that we can kind of dive into. Now, am I participating in any swing trades for the tech stock or tech industry? No, not necessarily. It is nice to see Apple. They have earnings tomorrow, so I'm curious to find out more about them. But what I want to go over is just relative strength, even in weaker markets or sell-off type areas. I think a lot of analysts and a lot of people would agree. Any information coming out of China, you can't really put too much weight into. It's one of those things that triggers market volatility, but that can be a type of, buy the fear type situation. I want to see more information come out. Is it really impacting sales and things like that? For Nvidia's sake, they have earnings in I think a couple weeks. Let's see. Again, these are weekly charts on TradingView. They're Wednesday, February 26th. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to do much with Nvidia. You can see here when you zoom out, right? Obviously, everyone knows Nvidia. Even if you're new to the markets, this is a heck of a stock. It's performed, I think, better. It was the first one to like $4 trillion or something like that. Now, obviously, Monday with the information that came out, is that information really worth cutting? What was it? Couple billions of dollars. I forgot how much, hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap. I don't think so. But am I going to participate? No. I'm not about being early. I'm about being right. When I participate in the markets. But I just want to kind of give you a broad brush view of things to look at. Tech sector is always fun to trade. Why I still think tech is strong. Again, this is excluding. I want to kind of see this week play out with earnings of Meta, Apple, things like that. But current sell-off in the AI-focused stocks and the semiconductors, especially, it's everyone's going to rotate into things that are strength, right? There's always people buying. It wasn't an overall just market decline. I have here my screener map just from FinViz. Anyone, you could pull this up. I'll get into, I have specific setup for my filters. I have it sorted to maps, and I have it sorted, let's do 1 week performance, and just some kind of things to look at. Now, not all of this is going to be Qs or tech related, but what I'm looking at here going into next week is, again, I want to see earnings play out for a lot of this stuff. I want to see the volatility settle down, especially in the semiconductors. As you can see, the 1 week performance in NVIDIA, obviously not good. But again, when you go back to this chart, look at the, it's incredible, right? Now, is this temporary? I want to see this kind of settle in, right? But some things I might be interested in for next week, for example, Adobe is one that I traded in the past. And again, this is a little quick example of why I never trade earnings. I was trading in this range here. I sold a couple times when it got from, it was the 500 level. I think I was selling into the 530s and up to the 550s. And the only reason I sold or got out of everything was because earnings were coming out on December the 11th. I don't like to hold overnight. Even strong earnings, you don't know what's going to happen. We're not market makers. We're not, hedge funds that are going to push this thing around. Extreme volume comes in on those days, those weeks, and it's just not something that I want to participate in. But as we can see today, now again, I want to finish out the week and see what happens. But just like Apple, maybe not just like Apple, but comparable. Let's look at a daily here. With the sell-off in semiconductors, Adobe has remained relatively strong, right? It's gotten above, I mean, this is just a Bollinger Band. This is a 20-week or 20-day SMA. I'm on the daily chart now. Elevated volume coming in Monday versus prior days, right? Closing pretty strong. You know, it's still, you know, in a downtrend, but what I like about Adobe, now I'm not suggesting, you know, newer traders to look at this, because it's not necessarily a perfect setup. I'm not saying buy here, but bouncing off that 400 level pretty much, you know, last couple weeks, now it's consolidating sideways with the volatility that went into the tech sector. Adobe has remained pretty strong. As you can see, this thing really gets moving in both directions. So, you know, I want to kind of see this week play out. Is it something I'm going to trade? No, not necessarily, but it's something that, you know, has re-piqued my interest because I want to see what's going to happen, especially after this week. You know, it's not necessarily a AI stock. It has AI integration in its software and tools, but it's a defensive subscription-based revenue model, right? It's cloud and, you know, document cloud products. Similar to, you know, some of the things that Microsoft does. Obviously, you know, Microsoft is in a lot of different areas. Another one that's kind of interesting too, and I know this is going to be real tech heavy. I'll have other videos about some other stuff. Oracle did sell off. Sorry, this one popped up on my screener. Yeah, this is going to be something that I want to see settle in. It's been very volatile the last few days, especially last week. Earnings aren't for a while. You know, Oracle's just one of those ones that it likes to move, so it's something that, you know, I like to participate in when I see the signs there for it. In the short term, let's talk about Apple because they're doing earnings tomorrow, right? What do we got? Yeah, tomorrow, Thursday. What are the Qs doing right now? I believe we're selling off just a touch, kind of flattening out. Yeah, 0.5% down. It's definitely not trading. It's doing the exact opposite, pretty much, going into the close here. So that's another one. If we see continued selling pressure in the semis, which is going to probably drag down the Qs, Apple and Adobe are something that I would be interested in. Again, I'm not laying out exact trade setups here. I'm just kind of giving people a step back view of how I do things. You know, first I have my screeners focused heavily on earnings per share, return on equity. This is my long setups. Average volume, I'll probably bump that up. 500,000 a day over a 30-day period is not necessarily great. I usually like to look for things that are trading millions plus. I like things that move, so I like a beta that's a little bit higher. Earnings and revenue, I want them to be positive. I don't really like to trade small caps. Even that is a little too small for me. 300 million, I'm going to go a little bit bigger. What I like to participate in is things that the institutions are going to be involved in, right? Retail traders, that goes for anyone that's not a giant firm, only makes up for 5 to 10% of daily, daily trading volume. Everything else is going to be institutional. It's going to be algorithmic, and you have to find your edge within that. So, finishing up, what are some things that I'm going to look at? Let's just take Adobe for example. I'm going to have other stuff come out about some more defensive stocks. Again, I'm really just kind of highlighting bigger picture of things to kind of step back and look at. You know, is this Chinese stuff going to really crumble the AI semiconductors? Probably not. You know, high probability it's going to be temporary, but I do think it opens the door for additional articles to come out, right? That might continue to drag that part of the market. Going into next week, I'll probably be watching Adobe. Again, I'm not going to touch any swings. I'm just going to continue to look at stuff daily. Adobe's going to be one that I'm just going to check out and hang around to. It fits into my threshold for positive earnings, positive growth. It's been down the last couple months. It's done the opposite of what the big tech has done as far as AI data driven stuff. Even though it's involved in that field, we can see it's had good relative strength compared to, right? So, again, NVIDIA down 16.75% before we finish the week here. Who knows what that number is going to finish at? Meanwhile, Adobe's up a little bit, right? It's not huge, but it's something to be interested in. So I'll have more for you. Like and subscribe. If you have any comments, please leave those. I'll check into them. I appreciate your guys' input, and I'll continue to work on some different videos, different stocks I'm going to be interested in. Right now, I was just kind of showing you, a step back, how to look at things. I'll get into more nitty gritty stuff as we continue on. This is just an example of, I wanted to just make something because of the market volatility, a lot of articles and things like that coming out. And you can't just buy into everything or news that you hear. You got to let the dust settle, right? We have earnings coming out. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So let's let that settle out. Let's let the noise filter. But meanwhile, keep a look at the 1 week performance. If this week were to finish today as such, right, what kind of stocks are you going to be interested in? I'm going to be interested in things that performed well counter to things that didn't, right? So look at financial sector. A lot of green over here, minus American Express. Meanwhile, everything else, those are the types of things you want to look at to see where is the money flowing to, right? Until we see changes, you can only trade what you see. You can't trade what you think. So again, I'm not going to participate much. I don't like swing trading or buying new positions that I'm going to hold long term, or whether it's to the long side or short side when there's earnings coming out. That's one of my main rules. Is I don't want to participate in that. Now, day trades, that's something else. I have another video coming out today. I was in Starbucks. They had earnings. I believe they had earnings today. Anyway, it was very volatile. We'll go over some trades that I had. That'll be on my Patreon. So check out the Patreon. Subscribe if you want. 7 days free trial. I appreciate any feedback. Like and subscribe. Thank you.